beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome back to one of my videos. Again, the topic is divine relationships. And although these are the times of the Virgo sun, and you know Virgo can often be seen as that hermit. So when we go within, when we purify, when we really see what we want, ahead of our new service journey, and in terms of inner reality, the inner feeling. So even though the topic is going to be about relationships again, because this is so important at this time, and I feel there's still a lot of misunderstanding sometimes of what I'm really talking about here, and I will explain this further. And why this is so important, because the power of the group, the power of the two within one serving the third, the energy of creation, is so much more powerful than the power of the individual. We need to come, of course, in our true power first, in order that we really establish true divine relationships. And today I want to talk about these pillars. But first I want to mention something, because recently I received a comment that it's not true what I'm talking about, that we're humans, and in this body we're always going to be human, so things are always going to be challenging, and what I'm talking about, the purity within the divine reunion and divine partnership, is not really true. And I want to say to that comment that everything is your own inner perspective, and what you're going through in your own experience, in your journey, is what you feel, what you reflect, and how you perceive your reality is, your own internal projection. Sometimes people have a lot of these lack of self-confidence, lack of really understanding what is their true nature. Sometimes they just, want to have that explanation running through somebody else, and this is just not how it goes. We need to come into terms of inner knowing, our inner understanding. Just because something doesn't feel it resonates with us doesn't mean that's not true in general, that it's not possible. There's so many divine partners sharing in a beautiful divine relationships that are already serving as the embodiments of that Holy Spirit creation flowing through two individuals who are serving the one and all. So there's examples, and there's role models, and there are people who are the pioneers of this. And I truly not believe, but I know this is possible, because although you believe in imperfection as a human being, there is such a thing as embodying perfection of your divine state of grace in the physical. And that's what we're doing, and that's what the Ascension path is all about. So people who perceive that's not possible, that's their reality. It doesn't mean it's not possible in the human body. So please have a bit of the respect that, just because I talk about these terms, and just because you're not experiencing yet in your own reality, doesn't mean that I'm saying something wrong here. And what I'm sharing is meant for us to expand and grow into that state of perfection, so that we can change our realities, and then we can change the reality of the planet, and change the vibratory level. And it begins with us, of course. The relationship is always with us and our source, and then how we experiencing it through other relationships. So before I go on to discussing a bit about the pillars, I want to say that there's different realities that we form within relationships and how we relate to others. Now I'm going to focus on intimate partnerships now, because this is just what this is about. Because through a deep reflection that we experience through an intimate union, it brings up so much divine potential within us, because we get so intimate and so open. A lot of the times people are still afraid of intimacy. They maybe even have a soul negative experiences in parallel realities, not just in this lifetime, that kind of makes them always fall for the unavailable person, or always, create these circumstances that are not possible to occur in their physical relationships, because somehow they keep sabotaging themselves from this part of themselves which still feels separation, that has not yet come home back to wholeness of our source. So we need to explore this. We need to explore this by relating to our deepest relationships, or how we view them in general. Sometimes people just don't want relationships, or they don't even understand. I've heard people also saying, I don't understand why relationships even matter. And when you don't have that understanding, or ask yourself, the questions will continue to raise awareness within you. And through raised awareness, you will raise your vibratory level. It's just how it is. But why relationships are so important is many different things, many different facets. And I'm going to explain this now, when I will focus a bit about in different types. So we all know such relationships that many of us call karmic relationship. That doesn't mean necessarily that you have karma. There's a lot of souls who are not bound to this reality and the karmic incarnation cycles, but they still enter karmic relationships, because that is what they choose in order to unveil things and come into deeper clarity of their soul through this DNA healing. So what's happening in karmic relationships, there's these triggers. And sometimes people call this, you cannot live with them or without them. And there's immense amount of drama in these relationships. So these relationships will reveal your deepest fears, your deepest patterns, and they're just serving that nature for you to finally wake up. Then there are soulmate relationships. Soulmate relationships are not so much to define how you perceive soulmate to be somebody as your romantic partner. They can be. But soulmate relationships are those that actually are very soothing for your soul. They bring you healing. They bring you not just that deep, intense energy that is very karmic in nature and that's always triggering you, but they bring you let's say something that you as a soul were lacking as an experience before, and now you're getting this experience from your so-called soulmate, which is a soul that's meant to serve you in a way that you integrate parts of yourself that maybe you've never even thought you've had. And so you come into soothing energy. So we have a lot of these soulmates, you know this. We have a lot of these beautiful relationships that we can form. Sometimes they can be challenging too. It only depends of your own nature, where you stand, how much you're still triggered by egoic triggers, not beautiful response of your soul, which is always neutral, compassionate, loving. Service to self, that is egoic. Service to others, to the bigger picture, that's your natural state of divinity. So these relationships will reveal you sometimes, you know, the things that are still maybe a bit wounded in you, but they'll also reveal beautiful sparks, beautiful diamonds within you. But how they will trigger you, it's not going to be the same as karmic, because you've done that work. You've done that, you know, you were initiated and went through that. So you don't respond to the world anymore through reaction, through these fears. You don't have this karmic tendencies and pulls and codependency issues anymore. So karmic relationships are a lot linked with the codependency energy and attachment. When people can't let go of each other, they still ponder on, they still carry a fragment of that person with them, and that's not really living our wholeness. So we got to really deal with that on our level of divine reunion when we go at it step by step. So the next level would be divine partnership. So divine, your soul partner. That is somebody who's on a similar spiral journey of ascension that you are. So wherever you are, that soul will have a unique and very similar space there with you, and you will meant to serve, you will meant to create something together. And when I talk about divine partnerships, these partnerships is what I'm talking about. So if you're in a healing relationship that is mostly still for your growth, to have these triggers to make you more aware of yourself, where you still have issues of lack of confidence, where your self-esteem is still low, where you still need validation and approval from others, and you've not really grown into your self-empowerment. These are relationships. And when I'm talking about divine partnership, when I'm talking about this, that two beings can't stand naked in front of each other just as a man and a woman in their own inner sacred marriage of the divine masculine and feminine, this is where I talk about divine partnerships. So don't say, well, I'm not experiencing this, so it's not possible. It's all about these levels of your blossoming. So how much you blossom into your true self. And remember that what you emanate out, it also seeks you out. So I remember Dr. Chazé, she speaks a lot about relationships and these things. She was saying, well, sometimes people say, you know, right now I'm going for the married people because they're never available, but when I'm ready to settle down, then all of a sudden I will pull that cord out, I'll put that string out, and I'll be all of a sudden available, and I'll be looking for somebody like Mr. or Mrs. Right. And she says that's not possible, and it's true. Why? Because you continue to emanate that energy which is lacking integrity. And this is what you give out. You constantly beam that out. And all of a sudden, just because say, now I'm ready, you know, now universe, please deliver to me that beautiful divine partner, it doesn't go like that. Anything that we experience is something that we're initiating ourselves into. So sometimes we say, I'm ready for a divine partner, and there's still, maybe in another relationships comes through, because there's still parts of you maybe that need better clarity or wholeness, or there's something you still need. Maybe it's just something you need to enhance your service if you're in a path of serving the Great Spirit of all creation. And we gotta always remember this path of divine reunion is all about perfection. We cannot cheat, you know, there's no cheating our way through it and say, you know, I'm ready. We might feel ready, but this readiness is openness to experience whatever our soul will provide for us, and whatever comes through, it's what we need. Our souls never deliver to us something that we don't need. So anything that's happening, we gotta trust that's the right thing. And it's like a stepping stone for the next step. So a divine partnership is a co-creation partnership. It's when two beings who, like I said, are in a similar spiral of their journey, they will be a complete vibrational match. It doesn't mean that somebody who's your soulmate will necessarily be your vibrational match. Obviously not, because like I said, soulmate relationships, a lot of the times, they will be about this healing. But still, the energy won't be so much connected with you serving the Great Spirit. And you're really putting yourself out to service unconditionally, without any fears. You know, how will we be supported now? Because we're serving something greater that's beyond physical attachments and jobs and daily situations. And this is what I'm talking about when I say divine partnership. There's a beautiful couple called Larkma. Well, this is not what they're called. This is the work they're doing, the work of service. But they're a beautiful divine couple, and they have this interview on YouTube when they share about their story of their divine partnership and how it was for them. And they clearly share that they first needed to enter their own wholeness. They needed to enter their own space. It's just how it was. And at that point, they were really willing to be alone. They did not need anything outside of themselves. You see, divine partnership is where you don't form partnership with a need. You don't, let's say, sacrifice your work of spirit, which you really, for example, if you're on that path, you really know what it is, you're fully devoted to it, and then a person comes in your life and now you're willing to sacrifice everything for that person. When it's the right person who also serves spirit, you won't have to sacrifice anything for them, because they're already going to be on that same path with you. The level will be equalized. You will be a vibrational match, and you will have the same vision. The vision will propel you to move your relationship forward. It won't be the glue to your being togetherness. It won't be karmic, won't be healing, won't be that coming into wholeness. The glue will be service to all life and creation, service to spirit. So this is what I mean when I say divine partnership. And everything that we're experiencing is a part of that. Through every relationship, we're getting closer and closer, and it's up to us when we say, well, okay, I think I'm going to stop at this level. This is where I feel comfortable at. But remember, if you're in a level of really serving spirit and this is all you're devoted to, then you won't be able to settle for anything less, because your soul won't feel complete. I have a beautiful friend. She's much older than me, and she's so wise. And she told me recently that she spent 15 years with a husband, with a man who was trying to work things out, was trying to make things work, and yet her soul wasn't fulfilled. You know, it was suffering in silence inside. So at a certain point, she just left. And you know, divine partnership is when two people don't feel they're having to sacrifice anything. They're standing together in that light. So they know what they serve, and their service comes through the pillar that they both represent together. So what Larkma shared is that when they receive this guidance, they receive it together in different ways. There's still a representation of divine feminine and masculine, yet they're one. This is what these relationships are all about. And sometimes we want to settle, or we want to be way ahead of ourselves, and we want to keep a relationship just because it feels so good. Remember, when you serve spirit, like I said, you will never choose a person beyond spirit. You will always choose spirit first. So that person's love to you needs to flow through spirit first. For example, somebody says, I love you, but that still maybe comes from the way they view you, or how they're attached to you, how they relate you, you know, with their experience, how awesome they feel with you. If it's not the love of source that they embody within them first, that's not that true love. So the love of another needs to flow through source first, and then it flows through you. So the equalized vibratory partners both receive from that same spirit, same attunement, and then they together co-create this beautiful energy and make it manifest here on this planet. It's not a matter of how many years you need to prepare for that, when it's going to happen for you. This is all mind. When you truly let go of control, you trust. And there's a beautiful saying that says, what you're seeking already seeks you as well. So there's a level of trust we need to have here. Okay, I'm going to move on to the pillars now, as this is also something that Dr. Saze already spoke about in her videos. Her channel is Blueprint of Love, I think. And there's just this video stayed in me, you know, when I was watching those videos 1 year ago, I think. And it's just so what I always felt inside of me. So she basically explained 4 pillars, and I fully resonate with that, because the first pillar is that person available. And that means all levels, spiritually, emotionally, materially, financially, you know, all ways. The second one is, are they serving the greater good? Are they serving God, or are they serving their ego? So let's say somebody wants to be with you and serve spirit, but at the same time they're afraid of how this will fit into their material. So they feel they're not able to support themselves through spirit alone, but they still want to keep the old ways, and they don't really trust. So maybe they go for the pursuits that are more financial or more material, and that's just not for you. So when you're in this path of divine relationship, not just any kind of relationship, but the divine union kind of relationship that will serve source, this is a really important pillar. Then there's two more pillars. One is the personal values, internal values, which is how you imagine to live your life, your personal values. And there's external values, how you perceive yourself in the external world with another, and how they live and how you live, and how this affects your reality, so your own choosing. So remember, these things are very important. And I remember when she was saying, if the first pillar is not there, then just move away, because you cannot create anything with a person that's not available. So here's what's happening. If we want to really force a relationship that is spirit-based with somebody who's not yet has not initiated themselves into that level, we cannot create anything tangible because their dominant energy is not there yet. So what we're doing is we're constantly trying to make it work instead of just flowing through us together, in togetherness, naturally. So this is what we're doing. We're going against the flow instead of moving with the flow of source, that trusting that two people who are in that same level of embodiment are already receiving. So sometimes when two people are not, one will be maybe guided by spirit and they'll be receiving this guidance. Another one maybe won't trust them all the time. So there's always this push and pull that's happening. And if you're really only devoted to serving spirit, and if you've had such relationships, you've known. And that is why you've also felt how your soul felt like it's being numbed down each time that was happening. There was that complete trust and faith that was flowing through both of you. That's really important. So instead of really moving into these, like I always talk about, these labels and who's a twin flame and what is not, what is this, what is that, and all these mental entanglements, we should rather move into that real core value of what divine partnership truly is. Because why is this important? Well, Earth is material reality. It's how we can express our divinity in the material. And intimate relationships are that first correlation with the world, how we relate with the world at large. So when we begin creating these divine partnerships, we start serving the bigger picture, we start serving spirit, and there's more contribution to the whole, which has value, has integrity, has purity. And of course, each step is important. I'm not saying, you're in a soulmate based relationship and you're doing inner work and healing. That's beautiful. But if you felt you've done the work and just something just no longer fits, then move on, because your soul is probably already ready for the next step. Sometimes people, they want to re-experience the old just because it feels familiar, and sometimes they end a relationship but then get scared and they want to recreate it again. And usually what will happen is they will sooner or later realize it's not the same anymore. They thought it was going to be, but let's say one person does not move forward, another one does. And they're just not in this similar spiral space, and they just can't relate to each other in that way through divinity, through being guided by the greater good. So two people who are meant to create something, they will both have that same vision. They might be doing things that will be complementary to each other's purpose. It will be one purpose. But in a way, there won't be any friction. Like, it won't be based on my preferences are different than your preferences, so we don't belong together. Things like that, petty quarrels and such. Like, mine is more important than yours. I should express myself this way, and you're not expressing yourself the way I wanted to. This is all ego-based. Two beings who are serving the greater whole, they will be pulled towards something greater. They will have a vision. Like I said before in my video, spirit guides through a greater vision, a vision for greater good, and a path of divine will. So much about this. Like I said, value all your relationships, love them no matter where you are in your spiral of your evolutionary soul journey. But please know that what I talk about in terms of divine partnership, this is what I mean about divine partnership, not just like all kinds of relationship. And that doesn't mean that all partnerships are not divine, because every relationship is. But in specific terms also, for example, how Larkma speaks of divine partnerships to be in a divine coupledom. This is what it means, when two beings are embodying that spirit self. and they're only meant to create something together. They will contribute to the greater pod, the greater whole, and therefore, like I said, why this is so important is because the contribution is greater than the contribution of the individual. So let's say I have certain skills, but when I meet my complementary, they bring certain skills that they have, and together we make it work and we make it magnified. This is what I'm talking about. So yeah, no judgment, no comparison here. Remember, comparison is judgment. It's just maybe a more covert form of it and a more cover-up version, but it's still judgment. So no need to compare your journey or your relationships to anybody else's, because you don't know where another is on their spiral of their soul evolution and expansion. So bless all relationships, whatever, even if you're seeing the most karmic relationships, sometimes people, you know, you're going to the outer world and there's so much drama and you see people fighting, or sometimes you go to maybe a restaurant or somewhere and there's couples not even speaking to each other. They're like having these walls between them. They just totally stop that flow. And bless them, bless each relationship, give them blessings, you know, show another way. We're meant to show the way of something much greater, and love that it's always fueled by source, not love that starts slowly and slowly vanishing and dissolving, but the love that continues to grow through mutual respect and the love of the one and all. So this is what I want to talk about here today. There's probably much more, and a lot now in this like I said, in this path of ascension comes through this merge, when the divine feminine calls the divine masculine back in unison, in oneness and wholeness. And like even I remember Dr. Shazay always says, you know, women are not meant to be teachers or mothers to their men. Men are supposed to do their own inner work, and that's just how it is. Sometimes we play these roles, and like I said, when you come into a divine partnership, there's no roles. There's just you and another wanting to serve the greater good. You've done your work, you've done your inner wholeness journey, and now you're ready to start doing something that is beyond just you and him or you and her. It's just something greater. It's something beyond. It's something that is a greater we, not just you and I as an I. So sometimes people are afraid to lose their identity in terms to gain something greater, to embody a much greater sense of awareness. And yet this is something we all need to do at a certain level. We need to start being team players and connect and form these communities that begin with our intimate partnerships. So this is it for me today, and I'll be talking to you soon again. This is an important topic, that is why we'll keep expanding on it. It's very dear to my heart. And as always, so much love, wisdom, and power. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.